Last night, underneath the bright lights of Madison Square Garden, basketball fans witnessed a moment that might become legendary, but for all the wrong reasons. With just over 3 minutes left in Game 4 of the Celtics playoff battle, against the underdog New York Knicks, everything changed for Boston. The crowd's energy shifted from anticipation to shock as Jayson Tatum, the heart and soul of the Boston Celtics, collapsed to the hardwood, clutching his right ankle in pain. For a split second, it wasn't just a game anymore. It was the fragile fate of a franchise, teetering on the edge of an unknown future. Let's unravel this stunning twist, examine what it means for the Celtics, and look at a trade pitch that could reshape two franchises, possibly ushering Boston into a bold new era. Picture the scene, the Celtics, trailing by 7 in a pivotal playoff duel, desperately chasing every loose ball. Suddenly, Jayson Tatum, three-time All-NBA first team, goes down in agony while diving for possession. Onlookers gasp, teammates freeze, and a hush falls over the Knicks' home floor. Medical staff rush in. Tatum's face says it all: fear, pain, disbelief. As of Tuesday afternoon, there's no official word from the Celtics, but sports medicine experts have begun to weigh in. The consensus? Tatum showed textbook symptoms of an Achilles tendon tear, one of the most dreaded injuries in basketball. This type of injury typically sidelines a player for 9 to 12 months. In the most optimistic scenario, he could return around the 2026 All-Star break. Realistically, the Celtics must brace for a season, possibly more, without their cornerstone. Tatum's injury comes at the worst possible time for Boston, not only on the court, but financially. The storied franchise already grappled with one of the league's highest payrolls. New ownership had decisions looming even before disaster struck. Would they keep investing in their expensive core, or retool with an eye on sustainability? Now, everything's accelerated. With Tatum most likely sidelined for the entire 2025-2026 season, Boston faces a harsh reality. The current mix of all-stars is too costly to keep together, especially without their leader. General manager Brad Stevens suddenly has to weigh two starkly different futures. Option 1. Double down, keep the band together, hope to scrape through next season and reunite with a healthy Tatum down the line. Option 2. Embrace the rebuild, trade away high-value stars like Kristaps Porzingis or Derek White and set their sights on younger talent and future draft picks. Given the salary cap constraints and a new owner eager to stamp a fresh identity, the second option grows more appealing by the hour. Here's where our story pivots to Jaylen Brown, the dynamic all-star who's formed a formidable duo with Tatum since 2017. Drafted 3rd overall in 2016, Brown is now set to make $53 million next season, part of a 5-year, $285.4 million Supermax contract. Trading Brown is not a decision to be made lightly. He's beloved in Boston, a relentless force on both ends of the floor, and, importantly, just entering his prime. But without Tatum, the window for this pairing feels closed, at least for now. What could Brown fetch on the open market? The answer might lie 2,000 miles away in Salt Lake City. Let's rewind. The architect behind Boston's current core? Danny Ainge, a franchise hero, the mastermind behind the drafts that brought both Brown and Tatum to Beantown. Though Ainge retired as Celtics president in 2021, he resurfaced within a year, taking over basketball operations for the Utah Jazz. Ainge immediately put the Jazz into a rigorous rebuild. In 3 years, Utah plunged down the standings, accumulating losses and assets in pursuit of a top draft pick. But fate can be cruel. The Jazz endured 65 losses, the NBA's worst record. But the draft lottery dealt them a blow. The number 5 pick, not the number 1 prize they'd hoped for. That misfortune may force Ainge's hand. Is he ready to flip Utah's accumulated draft capital for a proven star and kickstart a playoff chase? If so, Boston and Utah suddenly become perfect trade partners. A blockbuster. Trade idea: Jaylen Brown for Utah's future. Let's lay out the potential deal. Utah Jazz. Receive: Jaylen Brown, Boston Celtics. Receive: Utah's number 5 and number 21 picks in the 2025 draft. Utah has a strong case to make this move. Pairing Brown with explosive forward, Lauri Markkanen creates a potent 1-2 punch, making the Jazz immediate postseason threats in a loaded Western Conference. For Utah fans, adding an all-star in his prime is the kind of bold, era-defining risk often needed to go from rebuilding to relevant overnight. For Boston, suddenly in need of a new direction, this could be the clean start they need. Add Utah's lottery pick, number 5, and first-rounder, 21, to Boston's own number 28 selection, and the Celtics would control 3 first-rounders in this year's draft. They could select a trio of young, high-upside talents to grow alongside Tatum, aiming to be back in contention just as their star returns. Brad Stevens, Boston's decision-maker, faces an agonizing dilemma. Stick with familiar faces and veteran contracts or take a giant leap of faith into the unknown, trusting the draft and his scouting team. To understand what's at stake, consider NBA history. The most successful long-term franchises blend patience with bold moves. Rebuilding through the draft is risky, but it can pay off spectacularly. Just ask the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Golden State Warriors. 3 first-round picks could mean 3 franchise cornerstones or busts. For Boston, though, there's a rare and compelling combination at play: existing culture of excellence. Even in down years, the Celtics' infrastructure and legacy attract coaches and top young talent. Tatum's eventual return. Unlike many rebuilding teams, Boston's reset would be temporary. By the time Tatum is healthy, the young core would have experience under their belts, ready to surround him for a fresh championship push. If this trade goes down, the ripple effect could reshape both conferences. The Jazz would return to relevance, joining the pack of teams jostling for playoff position in the West. Immediately, not eventually. The Celtics would signal a clear pivot toward youth and future flexibility, perhaps inspiring similar moves from other teams in salary cap binds. Fans might grieve the end of an era, but front offices can't wait. Every decision must balance emotion with cold strategy, and this trade proposal is a classic test of both. For Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge, 2 architects behind modern Celtics lore, this decision would define their legacies for years to come. If Ainge delivers Utah to contender status with Brown as his new superstar, the Jazz could finally recapture the glory days not seen since the Stockton and Malone era. If Stevens nails the draft, he'll be credited with maintaining Boston's proud tradition of fast, creative rebuilds. If not, the 18-time champions might face a rare stretch in the NBA wilderness, the kind of identity crisis no Celtics fan wants to imagine. This crossroads, forced by an untimely, heartbreaking injury, could ultimately be an opportunity. An enforced pause, yes, but also the start of a new story. Every once in a while, sports delivers a moment so dramatic it seems scripted. A single injury, a twist of fate, and suddenly 2 franchises must gamble everything. The Celtics are at that crossroads now. From Boston to Salt Lake City, from the lottery desk to the front office war rooms, everyone's watching, guessing, hoping. Will Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge rewrite their own intertwined history? Will fans trust the process through pain and uncertainty, or demand one last run with the faces they know? Time, as always, will tell. But for now, let's keep the discussion alive. What would you do if you were calling the shots for Boston or Utah? Would this blockbuster trade work, or is it too much risk for both sides? Before you go, if you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think the Celtics and Jazz should do next. Thanks for joining me. See you next time, where the story behind the game is always worth your attention.